shoot, I said as you claim it. Instant Xbox, spin the block, his legs slide. Fast talker, no riddling, moonwalker, selling moon rock just to make dividends. You in traffic with family? That much making a portrait. Gun kick back, not grannies from porches. David on the scene, you know that it's scorching. What's a man with king? No response to the saying, advancing the line, advancing the payment. You front the game and shoot, what said as you claim it.
You already know the time, told my boys to hold the line. We gon' shoot it out in seconds, leave you posted like a vine. Bow your head down to the king, leave your roses at the shrine. We stay ready for the war, just need the king to drop the sign. Say what you running from, what you running from. I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? Say what you running from, what you running from. I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? This what you wanted. This what you wanted, huh?
Peace and blessings, and welcome back to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, The King. Now, today you saw me playing Death Stranding. I think I'm on day 5 right now, and I'm playing Death Stranding 1, director's cut. It's an interesting game. It's a wonderful romp. Where I'm going and what I'm doing is actually, it's really good to see the mind of Kojima and actually him unshackled from Konami. So if you want to see me playing that game, to go to Frontline Gaming Streams, where you can see all of that wonderful stuff. But on Xbox Frontline News, we're going to get back to the news, right? Now, we have news from Sega of Japan. We have news from Game Pass. Game Pass seems to be undaunted by what's going on with the swirling news that's in the street, where Xbox should be, what Xbox is doing, and how Xbox is going to be utilizing stuff going forward. Me personally, we are consumers, but we have to talk about the industry as a whole, because a lot of times what you've seen is everybody's clicks have gone up right now since yesterday with Laura Fryer talking about what she feels the state of Xbox is, with Mikey Barra chiming in. And you saw my video I did yesterday. So that video is doing pretty decent, my reaction to it. I did get a lot of conversation about it from some individuals that probably didn't understand what I was saying. So go back and watch it. But we'll talk about that at the end of this video. We'll see exactly where you are with it and what we think about it. July 1st sees 2 games come to the Game Pass ecosystem. Now, one is a returning veteran that has been in the ecosystem a couple of times, I believe. And the next one, I don't know, but I believe this is this first time inside the ecosystem. Now, what we see here is Lara Croft's Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's on consoles, on PCs, on cloud. And if anybody remembers Lara Croft Rise of the Tomb Raider, this was essentially the rebooting of what we see the Tomb Raider franchise to be. No longer did they go for the sexy. What they went for is not to objectify Lara Croft as the character, actually to have Lara Croft as the character and have the adventure and her exploration be the center stage for what the character eventually evolves into and turns into. Now, Little Nightmares 2 is a bigger, bolder than its predecessor, and it's a horror type of side-scrolling game. If you know games like Alone and side-scrolling puzzle games that make you think, well, Little Nightmares, the first one, was a good game. For some, they might say it was a great game. Well, part 2 expounds on that thought process and takes it further. Now, I haven't played part 2 yet, and it's inside Game Pass, so I might do that on Frontline Gaming Streams. We might get a chance to see exactly what Little Nightmares 2 has to offer the ecosystem. Now, if it's anything like the first one, and I'm pretty sure it is, then we have a lot to look forward to. But 2 games drops inside Game Pass, with Mecha Break dropping tomorrow on the King's birthday. I think we are in for a hell of a ride in July. For the last day of June, Game Pass saw a Game Pass drop that many of us have been anticipating for a while. And maybe it slipped past your radar, or maybe it didn't. Well, Call of Duty World War II has dropped inside Game Pass, and that was on June 30th. So as the month came to a close, You got one of the best Call of Duties, from the multiplayer to the story campaign. If you like old school Call of Duty, if that's what Call of Duty means to you, then Sledgehammer's 2017 game came out and they gave you what they needed to give you. It's on Game Pass Ultimate, Standard, and PC. Platforms Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, and PC. If you remember what Call of Duty was, or if you don't, well, this should refresh your memory. And if this is your first time, well, buckle up, because this is how the wild ride started and got you to where we was going right now. In the campaign, Call of Duty World War II follows Private Ronald Red Daniels, a fresh-faced recruit in the U.S. 1st Infantry who shipped off to Normandy to take part in D-Day invasion. After surviving the beaches of Normandy, Red and his squad fight across Europe, confronting Nazis and taking part in some of the war's deadliest battles in the forests of Leningrad. I hope you enjoy your day. Check it out. If you're into retro games, well, the Retro Classics Arcades plans to expand into the future. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go to Game Pass right now, you're going to see Retro Classics. And when you get to the Retro Classics, you're going to see games like MechWarrior 2, Commando, and such. Grand Prix is one of my favorites. I like Pitfall Harry, so does my grandson. But the program only took 27 days for it to amass 1 million in sales and eyes across the players. I'm telling you, there has been never a time for you to engage more so than now in the retro gaming. Retro gaming, for some, seemed unachievable. And on the Xbox platform, it kind of felt like it would be lost to yesteryear. Well, now it's very popular, and Game Pass has made that vehicle one of the vehicles in which retro gaming is going to push Game Pass forward, bringing the past to the present and bringing the old now to new. So if it's your first time trying Pitfall Harry or Grand Prix, games like that, tell me, because those games, I remember when they launched, I was there. Tell me how you feel about them. If you're a new gamer and you know nothing about those retro games of the past, tell me how rudimentary they are to you. Tell me if they inspire you. Tell me if they bring back the fun of gaming to you. This is when gaming was simplistic, when it had nothing to do with graphics. It had everything to do with gameplay, and the gameplay loop meant the most. Those binks and blinks and those wonks and wiggles were definitely something to have fun with. Pause. Mark Cerny took a picture today with one of the lead designers over at AMD, and they were talking about Project Amethyst. Project Amethyst is the next generation of the PlayStation PSSR in conjunction with AMD that Sony is helping to push the forward, going with frame generation, and people are expecting these advancements to make their way to possible PlayStation 6, possibly the dedicated PlayStation handheld, and of course to the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, the PlayStation 5 Pro launched with a particular upscaler in the device. Now, it came out to mixed reviews. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Some people were able to use other upscalers to achieve probably the same, if not better, results in the same device. But you had an option. You had Sony's spectral device upscaler, and you had AMD's frame generation FSR. Now, going forward, Amethyst will support ChatGPT if that's what developers want. Cerny said that's not what we're working on. We're working on networks which will know about the details and pixels and edges in order to stretch the capabilities of the hardware as far as possible. Why Amethyst is the code name is a combination of the PlayStation Blue and AMD Red, creating an Amethyst Purple. The synergy was embodied by a 100-pound split of Amethyst statue displayed in the corner of our dining room. The machine learning based process is the future, Cerny told people. With Amethyst, Sony and AMD are aiming for fewer pixels, prettier pixels, coupled with machine learning libraries to increase the resolution and add frames and assist in various ways in ray tracing. It's a better way to mitigate the expensive costs of ray tracing in games. To output at take the native input of a lower resolution and output at a higher resolution to reduce the cost and strain on the GPU and CPU, to free up resources inside the hardware to make prettier, more expansive games and allow the CPU to work on stuff like AI. And when I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about the AI of the characters to make environments more livable, more reachable, to achieve. So this is not something unheard of in the marketplace. This is something that's actually being worked on by NVIDIA with DLSS and others. But Sony is working closely with AMD, and the whole industry is going to benefit from whatever fruits may come of this. While everybody is loving Death Stranding 2, Kojima explains that it hasn't been a big leap going from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5. He said it's not the same way as the leap going from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, but things are running at 60 frames per second. Stuff looks a little bit more prettier, and they're able to do a little bit more things, but the leap wasn't as substantial. And we know this. We know from every intents and purposes, this generation kind of looked like a look-see from Microsoft and from PlayStation. To be honest with you, I think they didn't really go as hard as they were supposed to when it came to making this hardware. I think they was kind of conservative, both guys. But Kojima, utilizing the utensils that he has in front of him, will always deliver a pretty looking game, if not groundbreaking in some form or fashion. So Death Stranding 2 is taking the capabilities that is presented in front of him with the PlayStation 5 and utilizing it to the best of its abilities. So a lot of people are saying that it doesn't look that much greater than Death Stranding 1. In some instances, it does. In some instances, it might not. But the way the design is made of the game is utilized and taking part in some of the intricacies of the console itself. So I just want to see, like, if they come out with a director's cut of this, does it take full advantage of the PlayStation 5 Pro? Me being a PlayStation 5 Pro owner, I personally want more utilization of the PlayStation 5 Pro in instances where it cannot be done on a base console. I don't want my PlayStation 5 Pro just to be utilized as a frame rate machine, if you will. Watching this interview with the game business with Christopher Drang and the president of Sega, Utsumi-san, talking about a resurgence of Sega in Japan and Japan itself actually resurgent in the marketplace, where he sees Sega and his position in what he wants Sega to do. And a lot of people ask, what about hardware and stuff like that? I think that would be a terrible mistake in this marketplace at the moment. And I also believe that Sega's thought of playing with the Sega a la carte service thing, I think that's a misstep as well. Sega as a third-party entity has grown to a space where I believe they had a fantastic space. And the fact that he has history with Disney and movies and stuff like that allows us to know that a lot of the IPs can be turned into movies. So Sega I feel is in a great place. They can place their games on all consoles. They can do things that versatility-wise they weren't able to do before. Console-wise will lock them down. Like a lot of those niche one-off consoles like the Sega Genesis Mini, the tabletop games, I think those games was niche. They was nice. It was good for the times. But I don't think hardware is in the future of Sega. A lot of people I see are screaming for hardware for Sega. I personally don't believe hardware for Sega is in their future. I hope it's not in their future. I think Sega is on a roll right now. I think they're doing what is financially viable for whatever that company is looking forward to. What Sega does differently than many others is utilize the IPs that Utsumi-san is actually bringing back to the forefront. So you see Sonic being viable all over the place. You see Golden Axe. You see a lot of things like Jet Set Radio and stuff like that. We see Streets of Rage. So he's utilizing the IPs in a way that we wanted him to. They're getting back to where Sega should be. I personally believe that this mindset, the mindset of utilizing what is good for now, not what was good for the past, but what is good for now, where the company is at the moment, and where he can take the company is in the best interest of Sega. Sega's in great hands, in my opinion. Now that we got a chance to talk about all that other stuff, now we see where Sony is going with Project Amethyst. Project Amethyst is a nice culmination and collaboration that Sony has with AMD in figuring out what their upscalers would look like. A lot of people think they're making GPUs. You're not making GPUs. They're just worrying about the upscaling technology in the devices going forward, while AMD is still utilizing FSR4 and pushing forward with that process. They will be co-managing machine learning techniques with Sony to further push the industry forward. Their collaboration and Microsoft's collaboration is totally different. Microsoft is fabricating silicon on chips, stuff that is actually going into next generation hardware that is about to release, and going into server blades and pushing the industry in a graphical place that is quite different from where Sony is taking it. Same company working with two different companies, trying to achieve some of the same goals, but totally different outcomes. One has X amount of dollars to do certain things, big things, and one has smaller money. You could tell by the press releases, you could tell by the stories, you could tell by everything that has to do with it. The way that Microsoft and AMD is working in collaboration with each other is on a grander scale. The way that PlayStation or Sony is working with AMD is on a lesser scale. Machine learning type of things for people to, utilize in their current gen consoles, some software stuff, and maybe some hardware silicon that could be used within some of their current gen devices or next gen devices. And the reason why I say current gen devices, because I'm talking about that PlayStation handheld. We've heard that it's going to be an underpowered device, which will probably be more akin to a PlayStation 4 to utilize past generation games with patches and stuff to play PlayStation 5 games, but maybe the PSSR 2 would be in the device. Maybe that will help them run PlayStation 5 games. I don't know. The verdict is still out on that. We will see. They have an uphill battle when it comes to handheld devices because the Switch is pretty much in line with what their demographic and what they're looking forward to. So I think Sony has an uphill battle with that. I think they really have more of an uphill battle when it comes to putting out first party titles. I think they need to get to that. I think they need to, since their business model is wrapped around exclusives, I think they need to work and focus more on releasing exclusives instead of relying heavily on third party titles. But that is a casual machine, and that machine does focus heavily on third-party support. So I understand why they are limited in putting out just one tentpole title a year. And while they're doubling down on that and also telling you that they're not going to utilize their service while putting first-party titles into that service by giving you value, they will find value in other means to get into that service. And that won't be day and date third-party games. That will be more or less some of the best third-party games from 2 years ago, a year ago, placed inside their service. I think that's their business model. Because being that it's more of a casual machine, and we know that casual audience is more like a Minecraft, Call of Duty type of people, Madden, those type of people, those really typically are the people that will own a PlayStation and will utilize a PlayStation, with very few hardcore guys. More of the hardcore guys are on Twitter and they're not really in the wild. That's really left for pretty much the casuals. That's really a casual machine, and that's really what's pushing the numbers forward. Now, for all intents and purposes, you hear people telling you that Xbox is dead. Even I'm talking about former employees at the companies that were in high positions. Some people that were founding members of the initial consoles that kind of failed in the marketplace. Like the Xbox, OG Xbox kind of failed. And the 360, though it was successful in spots, kind of failed as well. I mean, it released faulty hardware to the marketplace, even though that was probably one of my best generations. And I only got the Red Ring of Death once. But to say that I only got it once, and to look over at a crowd of people knowing that they got it multiple times, and to still be as successful as it was during that period of time, thank God Steve Ballmer was there to, pull us out of the frying pan, to be honest with you, or the fire. The same way that the PlayStation 3 was pulled out by TVs, or whoever made this the bright idea to make sure that survived. But what I want to talk about is something a little bit more important. What everybody seems to be missing with Laura Fryer and her takes on where Xbox should be, and a lot of other people that are being kind of respectful to her opinion, and you should be. Right? As an OG, as somebody that did it back in the days, how you shipped to market, and it didn't reach critical acclaim like they wanted it to, but they were passionate about their project, and we understood that they put their heart and souls into every device, and that should be commended, right? At no point should we say that those individuals' input later on should be discounted, even though we don't utilize those metrics any longer, even though the way that marketing is used and distribution and all of that other stuff kind of is not the same at all in any shape or fashion. Those inputs that they do have could be insightful. They could remember something that happened back then that might change and predict kind of like the future. But one thing that sticks with me, and I want y'all to understand this, they harped on the fact that they didn't like utilization of Windows. And maybe that thought process was the wrong process, because you see, Bill Gates wanted to take over the living room with Windows. Being that Windows was his baby, Windows was his project, he wanted a Windows device inside the living room. And I guess at that time, they didn't know how to remove the bloat out of Windows. Well, it seems right now with AMD and Asus, they kind of figured it out. It took them 25 years to figure out how to remove the bloat out of it. And in turn, they've done a collaboration with the Asus Xbox ROG Ally handheld that is coming out this October with Asus ROG Ally, Xbox ROG Ally, with the white version and the black version. Both of those versions will go on sale later on this year, showing you the capabilities of a Windows device without the bloat, right? And that was Bill's original plan. His plan was originally to get you Windows, to make Windows the unifier. See, had that plan been initiated from the beginning, I don't think you get Steam. I don't think Steam ever gets a chance to get a foothold in. But by being hesitant, by not listening to somebody that has made a $3 trillion company, and sure, he's not on as the head any longer. He has recused himself from that, and that's for tax purposes and all that. But we know that's the house that Bill built. His original idea was sound, right? So had y'all followed that and not deviated from that plan, well, maybe they would be in a greater place than they should be now, right? So we realized that Xbox came about through deception, right? Deceiving the boss, thinking that you knew greater than him, only to bring you back to source. This was inevitable. Xbox bringing you what is called an Xbox PC was always the DNA. That was always the plan. You see, the initial conception of the Xbox was to take PC parts off the shelf, put together a device with a hard drive and an Ethernet, and give you that device. That was the original OG Xbox. And what we're getting right now is what the original vision is. So starting this October, you're going to get a handheld, removing the bloat, getting back to what Xbox originally was. Not an underperforming device going up and trying to do the same thing as another company that was in the marketplace years before it. Not trying to go head to head with hardware with another device that already had galvanized the developers to work on that device. At no generation did you beat them. But this is the generation that will. This generation and future generations will show a domination in this ecosystem and this space by infiltrating those that thought they were safe. By putting what you do best, your software, everywhere, by making it easy for developers to develop one copy, to make that one copy go everywhere. You make an Xbox game, you made the PC version at the same time. On every Windows handheld device, on every Windows device, on every PC that has Windows, you have access to the game that you purchase. With dual entitlements, with cross-pay, cross-progression, cross-saves. That allows your game to reach further than the competition. Bill's original vision. Bill always thought of this. Being the futurist that he is. Being the innovator that he is. Being the individual that actually funded the project, got the project up and running, and y'all went behind his back and gave him a different device, I would be furious as well. But now it's getting back to source. Now the people that are in position are people that share the same vision, that are in lockstep, not disgruntled employees. This is the last American country. I stand with the American company. I've been standing with the American company. I'm sorry. I allow my patriotism to take over sometimes. So sometimes I get a little hot-headed because I know that nationalism is a thing for other companies. And I see it. I see the Eastern companies show a reverence and respect, even in defeat, even in termination. But in this Western culture, we have forgotten exactly who we are, what we stand for. I'm sorry. I'm unapologetic when it comes to my nationalism. If it offends you, I don't give a damn. I bleed green, and I bleed red, white, and blue. Now, a lot of people may not rock with this, and I don't care. And I know you guys are going to say, oh, you're going to pull out the flag card. Yeah. Because I see a difference. I see a complete difference. I see a difference in being grateful. I see a difference in humbleness. I see a difference in respect. I see a difference. And I know y'all going to say, well, King, when they're spitting facts, are they wrong? I'm going to say some things should never be said. I'm going to say I can't, in good conscience, kick a company that gave me light when they're down, even though Microsoft isn't down. They may make you believe that. They're showing record profits. Yeah, they're going to do layoffs. It's going to happen. They're not the only ones. And I'm not excusing it. I don't care. I am a consumer. And from a consumer standpoint, when the quality suffers, when they no longer provide what I'm looking for, then I will throw my flag down. But until that day, I bleed green. Now, a lot of you dudes didn't like me making that video yesterday, but I don't care. It's an easy thing for you to just block and dismiss me. But there were some people that appreciated it. There were some people that was rocking with me. And if you rocking with me, I'm rocking with you. Always. But if you're not rocking with me, then get on before you get spit on. Because this ain't the place for you. There's enough bad Xbox news going all over the place. I'm your last bastion. I'm not going to give up until it's over. You know damn well I bleed green when my advanced GG drink of choice, my hydration, comes in a green container. Use code Iron Lords at the checkout to get 10% off of your shipping and your orders. You will never confuse me with not being down for the green. I'm getting hardware. I'm getting games. I showed you today how Game Pass is going to go crazy. Now, for this week, y'all going to hear doom and gloom. Stop giving them your views if you don't agree with them. Take your views away. Because I see people upset with me because my takes on things and my takes be right. And I don't care. Be upset. My opinion is my own. I share it with me. But then I share it with the world. To be judged. But in that fearlessness, I'm going to tell you like I always tell you. I'm going to throw that logo around my birthday tomorrow because I'm going to go live tomorrow. I'm going to go live on the day that they said we're supposed to get a whole bunch of layoffs over at Microsoft. I'm going to go live and I'm going to walk into the fire of everybody talking down and being disrespectful. I'm going to go live tomorrow and I'm going to throw that logo around that. Because my mama ain't raised no... And it didn't cut out. I'm still here. But you can use whatever word that you want to use in between there. And I ain't from Brooklyn. I ain't from Brownsville. But the motto for Brownsville, never ran, never will. I'm from Brownsville. I'm from the boogie down Bronx. Home of the Dusty Knuckles. Come from Murder Melrose. It ain't no way I'm soft. Never been built like that. And the Discord will be open. If you feel froggy, leap. I'll be there. And I'm going to tell you like I always tell you. Try to play the Game Pass.